Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sonia. Here on my channel, we have healthy discussions about life, love, dating, and relationships while promoting self-love and healing. I also offer advice, give perspectives and insight on reality TV and current events. Tonight, we're talking about Married at First Sight, Season 14, Episode 6. But first, I have to thank you for coming to my channel. If you are new, I want to welcome you to the channel. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel and supporting me. If you are coming back, welcome back, family. Good to see you. If you're passing through, please consider subscribing to my channel. I will greatly appreciate it. So let's get into Married at First Sight Season 14. As you guys know, I do not do a traditional review. I timestamp this for you guys just in case you only want to watch one or two couples if that's your interest, okay? But I really hope that you watch from beginning to end because it helps me. All right, let's get into it. So first up, we have Stephen and Noy. And with them, what I want to say is, I feel like it's important to remember that you are getting to know a person and that you are a sum of your own experiences, right? And you have to allow room and space and have some patience for a person to get to know you and for you to get to know them and experience things together. So Stephen and Noy got up. They went to the waterfalls. Steve, he loves the outdoors. He loves earthy things. Noy, not so much. And he wants to expose her to his life and to the things that he loves, which is a good thing because you want to get to know your partner. You kind of want to understand their life and what they do. You don't want to create two completely separate worlds. Even if you guys don't always participate in each other's activity, you want it to at least be an environment where you can have shared experiences, thus shared memories, right? So at first, Steve was a little bothered that Noy didn't want to just get out there. But again, like I said, you have to remember that this is new to her. Steve did turn it around though, and he became very loving and supportive towards Noy. He was trying to teach her how to float, and he let her know, I have you, I'm supporting you. He gave her good feedback through the process. Then the fish started biting his feet. And so once the fish started biting, he didn't drop her. He didn't make a big scene. He didn't panic, which helped her. He held her tight and said, I got you, and they got out the water. But they still had a moment where they really enjoyed each other. I look forward to seeing more of Steve and Noy. I know next week they're going to talk about the finances. I think with Steve and Noy, the only challenges they may really have is the financial aspect. Noy wants children, so she needs security. That's important to her, and it would be important to anyone, I would think. And so with Steve, I think he would have to remember what Noy's love language is. Noy's love language is words of affirmation. So I think he would have to remember to affirm her. But I think aside from those two things, and maybe a little bit about the immaturity and how they want to live life, they may be okay. We will see. It'll be all about communication and compromise between those two, in my opinion. But I enjoyed their time together. That's pretty much it with them. Let's move on to the next couple. So next up, we have Mark and Lindsay. They apparently made up from last night. So Mark and Lindsay had an incident where Mark said he wanted to pull back. Lindsay was upset. And I'm sure they had a conversation later about how her drinking is impacting his thoughts and maybe is concerning to him. Like those are red flags for him. He's been saying from the beginning that she is a lot and there are some concerns. I still stand by. I don't think he should have been intimate with her, especially 3 times in one day just to say we need to pull back. You've seen the red flags all along. And my other issue with that is you don't know her well enough to know how she views intimacy. So if she's the kind of person that once you consummated the marriage, that is like solid for her, if she doesn't compartmentalize sex as something we're just doing, but it doesn't mean that, we are solid in our relationship, that can lead to a person acting out. And although Lindsay's behavior and how she responds to things isn't Mark's responsibility, it's important to take that into consideration when you are making decisions, okay? So I think maybe he should have had that talk with her about his concerns first and then been intimate with her, but not be intimate first and then turn around and say, yeah, we need to pull back. How do we pull back and not be so lovey-dovey after we've been having sex all day? So that's where my concern is with them too. But I will say, throughout this episode, Lindsay appeared to be pretty stable. There was like no outbursts. She pretty much kept her mouth closed on a couple of incidents, which I know she wanted to speak on. So she handled herself a lot better this episode. And I think she did that to honor Mark, which was good. I thought that was great. Because Mark needs a break. And then the landlady, friend, mother figure apparently have been calling all day and all night while they're on a honeymoon over a bedbug situation. There isn't anything Mark can do if he is out of town. You know what I mean? He's on vacation. He's on his honeymoon. Just letting him know, hey, there's an incident, so I'm going to have them come exterminate your apartment. I think that should have been enough. So I agree with what Lindsay said on After Party, which was that she feels like the landlady is scared to lose Mark. Mark will definitely have to set some boundaries with the people in his life, with his other relationships, so that they know that it's a requirement that you have to respect my wife and my personal time, our personal time in my relationship. So he would really have to work on that. That's the problem with being with someone that is the go-to person. A lot of times people only see them as that person. That's the role that they have, and they don't want to let that go, but they don't understand that they are being disrespectful to the person and their partner. So boundaries are huge. Mark will have to really set boundaries. And especially since we know Lindsay can kind of go too far and it may ruin some relationships. And then also Lindsay has an issue with boundaries. So that's going to be a lot for him to manage. So the earlier, the better. As soon as he can start setting those boundaries up, the better for him. Next up, we have Alyssa and Chris. I have to say, I blame production, Alyssa, and Chris for the outcome of this situation. I'll start with production because I blame production and casting and the experts first, because you guys gave her the exact opposite of what she asked for. And attraction is important. Now, a friend of mine, my best guy friend, hey boo, we spoke and he made a very good point. He said, some of us are acquired taste and it just takes some time for a person to get to know us. And I agree. I do think Alyssa is immature, but I'll get to her in a minute. My issue with Chris, though, is that he is not showing any other sides of his personality that would be appealing, right? All Chris does is talk about where we're going and what are we doing, no matter what Alyssa says, because I know a lot of people aren't saying this, but the bottom line is she has said, I am not attracted to you. I don't feel like we're compatible. She didn't say I'm not attracted to you. She said, I don't feel like we're compatible. I think we both got gypped. Basically, you're not getting a woman who wants you, and I didn't get the man that I desire or I find attractive. I also blame production because I feel like I don't know how you can realize that Alyssa was not mature enough to be on this show. If someone tells you everything they're looking for is surface, then you know that this show probably wouldn't be best for them. So it's not a good selection, right? But more than that, Chris isn't showing that he's intelligent or he's kind or he's nurturing or could be supportive. He won't really give her space. My friend was saying how, you may have to pursue the woman a little bit. And I agree. I understand what he's saying. But at the same time, Chris isn't showing his personality. He isn't showing what else is attractive about him. He's just pushing a narrative. I personally find Chris to be just as manipulative as Alyssa, because I feel like, Chris, what really are your motives? She said she doesn't want this in so many ways, the nicest ways that she can say it, right? If she flat out just tells you, I don't find you attractive and I don't want you, what will that do for you? Because that's what he's pushing for. He's pushing for her to say flat out, I don't find you attractive and I don't want you, because she said everything else. She has said, we're not compatible. She said, I just want to put up a united front and we just get through this, right? She doesn't want to live with you. She didn't want to spend a night with you. According to him on Unfiltered or After Party, she didn't even want to sign a marriage license. So what else do you need? But Chris said she doesn't want to suffer the consequences of her words. So that leads me to think that, Chris, you want to punish her. Why do you feel the need to punish her, right? she let you know you aren't interested. It's time to move on. Now, Alyssa, I'm not sure what show she's on. This is a married show. You guys aren't happy. You don't want to be with him. You won't spend time with him. You barely can film with him. So for me, I don't know why you feel like you should get an apartment, because I think she just wants the apartment. So it's kind of like civil rivalry, or a teenager who's fighting to get their way. If I make up enough fuss, if I keep up enough fuss, then maybe you will allow me to have my own apartment like you allowed me to have my own hotel room. It's just time for them to go. There is no need in moving forward. I don't think anything at this point especially will turn this around, because I can see the look on Chris's face when they were on the couch talking, how he looked at her. He's so bothered by her, and she's obviously bothered by him. So I don't see where Pastor Kyle, the handler, could help. I call Pastor Kyle the handler. Anytime somebody wants to leave, they bring Pastor Kyle to it. But I don't think it's going to help in this situation, and I don't see why they need to still be there, because Alyssa has made it clear that she doesn't want to be around him. He's made it clear that he's not going to have any other conversation, but trying to push her to the point where she says she doesn't like him. And for me, it's like you do want her to appear like the worst person, right? Now, I am not for Alyssa constantly reminding us that she's a good person. Saying I'm a good person doesn't make you a good person. But I do think he wants more of a victim role, and he wants to be viewed a certain way. So he's pushing a narrative as well. So as far as I'm concerned, both of them are being manipulative. And the fact that production is letting this go on is kind of concerning to me. That's all I have to say on those two. Next up, we have Katina and Ola. And when I look at them, I have to look through the lens of they're still young and they're still inexperienced in these types of relationships. And they're kind of figuring it out. And they're also coming from different like party lifestyles. And so to bring all of that energy down and come together as a couple may be a challenge for them, but I still enjoy watching them. I know a lot of people don't like Ola, but I really enjoy watching them as a couple. I really do. Anyway, Ola decided to wake up next to his wife. He said he didn't go to the gym. He stayed. And so he's trying, and I appreciate that. My only warning to Katina is don't let that be something that goes on ongoing. You need him to exert as much energy as he can. It will help you guys. Otherwise, he will direct all of that extra energy towards you. So whether he changes his workout time or whatever needs to happen, he still needs to get that workout into it to get rid of some of that energy. I think it's wonderful though that he is considering her. You know, she wants me to wake up with her. I'm going to compromise my morning workout to do that. We just have to be careful with that. Plus, you don't want a person to lose themselves, because then they'll end up resenting you. So it's all about balance, compromise, and communication with those two. So they go horseback riding, and Ola is back to being the coach, and he's like trying to push her. Ola's intentions are good. His execution is bad. And he just needs to be mindful with that. Like, we get, you want her to be the best version of herself. But you also have to remember the number one rule when you're trying to educate or motivate people, and that is know your audience. Know your audience, learn to read the room, learn to communicate, and ask them what their learning style is. It isn't a one size fit all. She's not an athlete, you know, so you can't push her like you will push a football player or any other kind of athlete. That's your wife. She's a woman and she has different experiences. So just be a little mindful, I would suggest, in how you try to push her, right? Just be more patient, more supportive, and listen. Most importantly, listen and take it in. Listening and calming down is going to be an issue for Ola. That's something he will have to work on. But he admitted that he was wrong, but the best apology, and he apologized, but the best apology is change of behavior. So hopefully we'll see a change of behavior in him. If he doesn't calm down, start listening to her and being a little more patient, she's going to resent him and she's not going to want to do activities together, which you can tell is important to him. So they really have to balance that out. But again, I still enjoy watching the two of them. I really do. They're like that auntie and uncle that are a little crazy, but are real funny. Like, they're funny, they're crazy, but you can tell they love each other and nobody else better say anything to them or to the other one, or it's going to be a problem, but they do whatever amongst one another. So I like those two together. We will see what happens. Lastly, but definitely not least, we have Jasmina and Mike. And boy, have the tables turned. Originally, Jasmina was trying to get Mike out of his shell. Now, Mike is trying to get Jasmina out of her shell. It was good to see them outside getting some fresh air when they were on the balcony. You know, at least we know they're spending time together and they're not completely separated in their heads and in their space. But it was also good to see them at the waterfall. So they go to the waterfall and Jasmina has retreated. So she's pretty quiet and keeping to herself. And I think it's important to understand that although every individual on this show may be committed to the process, they are not committed to the person, meaning they don't have any buy-in yet. They don't see the value of the person yet. They just committed to this process. So it's going to take some time. And when you are very new in getting to know a person and that person has already shown you that they would disrespect you, they've shown you that they will yell at you. And if that's something you're not okay with, that's going to cause a problem. And so Jasmina has retreated, and it's going to take Mike really proving to her that that's something that's not going to be a continuum and that it won't happen again, and that he's really apologetic for how he spoke to her and if he yelled at her and all the things that she is saying that he did. If that's truly the case, that is a red flag. You don't want someone speaking to you in a disrespectful manner or yelling at you. Like, that's not okay, especially over whatever the situation was, because they haven't had anything significant to happen for it to even be okay for you to raise your voice at her and disrespect her. So even if he doesn't feel it as disrespect, it was perceived disrespect on her end, and that's something they have to work through. But you know, now Mike is trying to break the ice, and he tells a trauma story about being bullied. Now, you know how I feel when people start telling you trauma stories early on, especially if they were raised by women, because to me, that's a way of trying to get empathy and sympathy. There's other ways to break the ice and have conversations. I also think Mike was trying to be vulnerable the best way he knows how, but that's something he needs to work on. You know, again, I say Mike knows that there's an issue, but he does not have the tools to work through those issues. He has triggered Jasmina. Jasmina has triggered them, and they're just in a standoff. They just need resources. They just need some help. And I also said, I think it's very important for Mike to get grief counseling. You know, he has to learn to get out of his head and communicate. And Jasmina said that was an issue. And Jasmina also has her abandonment issues, which is why she's been dealing, I think, with all these unavailable people and people who really can't be close to her space, because you don't really have to worry about a person leaving if they're not really there in the first place. And I did a video on that. I just think for the two of them, they have to understand that the past is not the present. Be okay with being vulnerable. Go ahead and communicating and be respectful. Respect is important. You cannot disrespect a person and feel like they're going to bounce back. I said this before about families. Families, they will make you feel like you can do anything and we're going to love you no matter what. A stranger, people that don't know you, don't feel that way. They are not that vested in you. That love doesn't run that deep. And everybody has their own trauma and their own baggage that they're carrying as well. And they have their own triggers. So you have to be careful on how you manage yourself, and especially when you're dealing with people in your relationships, and how you communicate your concerns. So hopefully this is something they can work on. She hasn't left. He hasn't left. So it seems like they want to try to give it a try. I hope when they get back to Boston that they can get the resources that they need. So we'll see what happens, because I don't know. Anyway, that's the end of this video. If you have any comments, please let me know. If you agree, disagree, have a different perspective of an insight, I love to hear from you. Please leave it in the comment section below. Remember, I will timestamp this video based on the couples. And also, as always, please don't forget to love yourself for who you are. Check me out on Kimberly Reviews channel. I will be there on February 3rd at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I can't wait. We're going to talk about dating and relationships. You guys have a great night. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.